Okay, this is going to be a rather short and sweet little video, I hope. It's not going to be too long, but I just read H.P Lovecraft, Cool Air. Incredible. Extremely enjoyable. I found the pacing to be a little not great, you know what I mean? Understandable because it is such a short story. My copy is only 27 pages on my e-reader. But the big reveal at the end was exquisite, that, here, I'll read this, and the organs would never work again. It had been done my way. Preservation, for you see, I died that time 18 years ago. So it's revealed that basically someone that we've known for the majority of the short story through the narrator, right, ends up being essentially a zombie, right? Like a walking, talking corpse kept in a refrigerated room, while also being an extremely accomplished doctor who saves our narrator from a heart attack to start the story, right? So it's a really good book, or short story, whichever you'd prefer to call it. I say book because, from my perspective, it is a book, but that may not be the same for everyone. You ask me to, I'll read the quick little story. You ask me to explain why I am afraid of cool air, why I shiver more than others upon entering a cold room, and seem nauseated and repelled when the chill of evening creeps through the heart of a mild autumn day. It opens up, and you're like, I never asked that. Never asked you to explain, but I'm curious, right? It's a good open. It's a very strong open. A good cold open, some may say. And it gets you primed to be like, well, why? Why are you scared? What's up, right? What's wrong with the cold? As someone who lives in Canada, especially, I'm like, well, I love autumn, it's my favorite time of year, and I prefer colder temperatures. I prefer cold weather. So when it goes through the story, I'm like, yeah, okay, the dude just likes a cold place. I don't understand Fahrenheit or Celsius, to be honest. Temperatures have always been confusing because in Canada we use both for like everything, right? So I always like struggle with the comparisons. I tend to lean towards Celsius, which is why I'll be like, yeah, I like -5. But I'm just gonna quickly check. They say they get it as cold as 28 Fahrenheit, which I assume to be a low temperature. -2. All right. So at one point, the doctor's room gets to -2 from like refrigeration, which is insane. It's quite impressive. I'm realizing why people found that to be so cold, keeping your place at like essentially what is outdoor temperatures for me right now as of December 17th in Canada, right? And yeah, that was that. I should have picked up on it. Had it been in Celsius, I would have been like, that's odd. Our thermostat here is in Fahrenheit, but then the outdoor thermometers and stuff are in Celsius, which is why I get them mixed. But anyway, yeah, throughout the book, there's like this slow build up where it's like something's off, and then the spoilers. By the way, I should have said that at the start. Sorry, I'm gonna put spoilers in the title. But throughout the book, there's this slow build up where he seems off. He gets more angry, which, if I had to theorize, I would say it's the brain cells like shutting down and dying. Not necessarily from the cold, but just because it's a corpse. It's an animated corpse. It says at the end, like, all the organs have failed, right? So it's, my understanding would be the brain is an organ, right? And those cells, they don't last forever, right? They just don't. I think, if I remember correctly, it takes like 50 years for brain cells to come back. I might just be like talking out my butt right now, but brain cells, out of all the cells in your body other than like the cells of the heart, which just don't regenerate, kind of just like are the worst ones to have damaged, right? Like, that just is what it is. So my understanding is all the personality changes throughout the story, where the Doctor gets more aggressive, more angry, more irritable, could be attributed to brain damage, essentially. Well, not just essentially, factually, that's what could cause it. And going throughout, I always thought, it's a bit manic. It could be because it's implied that he has like an illness or a disease throughout the entirety of the book. That's what I thought it could be. But it turned out that was not the case. I can't get over that. Here, let's get to this next thing. So he couldn't keep it up indefinitely, and there was a gradual deterioration that he had not foreseen with the damaged organs, which, yeah, your cells don't hold shape. Refrigeration helps, right? But it'll slowly devolve anyway. So throughout the book, he loses posture, he loses his shake. He claims that he's alive through willpower at one point, which kinda, you're more so just not really alive, but whatever. It's a horror story, right? But that build up, and then at the end, apparently, like, he turns into essentially just this puddle of sludge, right? Which, that's a very fast decomp, and there's no bones or anything. It's literally just ooze, which means that at this point the bones and everything have liquefied without the body drying out or anything. It's incredibly disgusting to think about that process. But his body's been kept in suspended animation through cold for 18 years by the end of the book, it says. And the organs never would work again. It had to be done my way. Preservation. For you see, I had died that time 18 years ago. So yes, he was kept in suspended animation through refrigeration for 18 years, and then one night the pumps for his ammonia freezing stuff or whatever going through his entire apartment give out, and it needs a new injector thing, like a new pump for it, and I think it might have been a piston, something like that. So the apartment loses its cool, so to speak, and in the end he turns into sludge, and it is revealed through a little note that he leaves to our narrator, right? And it's like, wow. But this is one of those early zombie stories, or I think this came out in 1928. Here, let's check that too. In March 1926 and published in March 1928. So this is one of those very early zombie stories. Arguably one of, if like not the earliest. I think, crap, I might have to check when Mary Shelley's Frankenstein came out. I think that was in the 1800s. I think that was like 1860. 1818. 1818. Oh wow, I was way off. But even still, this is one of the earliest like zombie stories, I'd say. Fitting that it's from one of horror's greats. I'd say for horror, the best of the best would be, I'm very biased in this, Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker, and then, this is going to get laughed at, but R.L. Stine. Because of the significance of their works and the either, contributions to writing and horror as a whole, or as gateway drugs, right? When I was a little kid, I went, ooh, R.L. Stine, I can read this, and it was a gateway drug. And then I went Stephen King, and then I went a little bit into Lovecraft, actually, with Call of Cthulhu, and I'm like, cosmic horror, kind of like Stephen King, but earlier. Pretty good. And then I bounced around and I tried Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that was good. It's been a while since I've read that, so I'll have to reread it if I wanted to review it. And I've yet to go fully through Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but I hear that is the best telling of it. Right? So I'm going to eventually. It is on my e-reader. And eventually it will get read, but not yet. I'm waiting for the mood to strike me. It'll probably be like around Halloween next year or something like that. Might be over the summer. Who knows? Very long tangent. Very much sidetracked. I do recommend people read it. It's like a 30-minute read. If you read at like just under... If you read at... Okay, you can read at a page a minute and be done this in less than 30 minutes, right? So 10 out of 10 would read again. Probably will end up reading it again. I do recommend people give it a read. The pacing, like I said, isn't fantastic, but it's a short story, so I'll give it the pass there. The actual content is pretty good. I would have liked a bit more realistic reveal, right? So I would have liked if they came in and it was like, it's implied that he was left in the room for hours, right? And if they came in and it was like a skeleton, like a gooey skeleton, I would have much preferred that. I don't know how realistic that would have been comparatively, but just a bunch of sludge in a room was not really, didn't really do that factor for me. I was like, oh, it's all right. But that's it, yeah. Overall, I say story, like just the concept, 10 out of 10. Writing, 9.5, I'd say. 9.5. Not quite a 10, just because the next point, which is going to be pacing, which is only going to be like a 6 out of 10. Overall, pretty good, right? If the only complaint in a short story that's less than 30 pages is pacing, I think you can kind of tolerate it, right? Because it's super slow, and then it's fast, and then it's slow for a little bit, and then it's out of nowhere, fast, and then it's done, right? The beginning, when he's talking about finding a place to stay and like the quality of the apartment, is nothing special, right? So that it's jarring when you get to that heart attack, right? And then you go through that, and then eventually he gets to the point where he's been talking to him for a while. He's been talking to the doctor for a while, and then cooling system fails. And there's a passage of time where there's literally like a time jump where he hangs out with the doctor for a period of time, learning from him and everything. And then that switch happens where suddenly the pumps fail, right? I would like an extended edition where we get more of that, where we don't have that time jump. And then I would have liked a slightly more realistic reveal of the zombie-ness of it, where the corpse is more realistic. I understand why in like 1926 is when it was written, there wasn't a realistic corpse. I totally get it. But like a modern version with the internet, it could be done better. I don't think it would have the same like phrasing. I think that the wording in this book is incredible. I believe the writing, like the quality of it, the prose, the word choice, it's all really good. It's like that old English vibe that like we all say, oh, it sounds so much nicer. It's got that. I don't think that could be nearly as well done today, but I think that the facts and the pacing could be done much better. Yeah. Solid read. A few minor critiques that I feel like are just a construct of the time or the format. But overall, really good. I know this was a long video for a short book. Apologize, but thanks for watching.